Well, in lesson 3-4, we're going to be discussing the slope of a line. These are our objectives. First of all, the slope of the line, we can identify it different ways. We've heard it rise over run, the change in y over the change in x, y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1, when x sub 2 cannot be equal to x sub 1. And we will discuss that later on, why that would be. On page 155 is a breakdown of this if you'd like to write that into your notes. I want you to make one quick note. A common error when you're finding slope, a lot of students want to put the x's in the numerator. So they do the difference in x's over the difference in y's. And that is incorrect. Also, there's sign errors. So let's look at what that could possibly be. We are going to let this be 0.1 and this one be 0.2 and find the slope. What happens a lot of times is they'll end up putting -3 or having that as a -5 instead of 2 plus 3. They're going to do 2 minus 3 and have -1 here. So watch out for those sign errors when you're doing slope. Now if we decide to let this be 0.1 and this be 0.2, you're going to get the same result. It doesn't matter, still -5/2. So it doesn't matter which you have as 0.1 and which 0.2. Actually, it doesn't matter which 2 points you choose on a line. You're still, once you simplify, you're going to get the exact same answer. The slope-intercept form of a line is y equals mx plus b. M is the slope and b is the y-intercept that has an ordered pair of 0, b. This form is useful for graphing since you have a point and a slope readily visible. For example, we've got this equation in standard form. Let's solve it for y and put it in slope-intercept form. So we're going to add 3x to both sides. It's in the format y equals mx plus b, so we can tell that the slope is 3 and the y-intercept is at 0, -5. Find the slope and y-intercept of this line 2x minus 6y equals 12. Well, first of all, we need to solve for y. So we're going to subtract 2x from both sides and then divide every term by -6. Notice, every term is going to have to be divided by -6. Whoop, and I see we have an error. That should have a 1/3 there. Since the equation is now in the form y equals mx plus b, the slope is 1/3 and the y-intercept is 0, -2. For any 2 points, the y values will be equal to the same real number. So you know you've got a horizontal line if in your 2 points the y coordinates are the same value. So the slope is going to be 0. You're going to have 0 in the numerator, divided by some number. Any number divided by, or 0 divided by any number is going to be 0. Now, vertical lines means the x values are going to have the same real number. But that slope is going to be undefined because you cannot divide by 0. If a line moves up as it moves from left to right, the slope is positive. If it moves down, it's negative. And you can find some more of this information or a picture of these on page 160 in your textbook. Horizontal lines have a slope of 0, and vertical lines have an undefined or no slope. There's a big difference between no slope and a slope of 0. Two lines that intersect are called parallel, and you can find some more information in your text on page 160 on this. They have the same slope. So unless they're vertical lines, which have no slope, vertical lines are also parallel. So they can be vertical and parallel, it's just they won't have the same slope. They'll have no slope. Both of them will. So let's find the slope of a line that's going to be parallel to this one. Well, all you need to do is use the slope formula. So a line that's going to be parallel to a point or line passing through these 2 points has also got to have a slope of -1/2 because parallel lines have the exact same slope. Perpendicular lines, on the other hand, and you'll find some more information on page 161 of your text, are two lines that intersect at right angles. Two non-vertical perpendicular lines have slope that are opposite reciprocals of each other. In other words, if you multiply the slopes by together, their product will be a -1. Horizontal and vertical lines are perpendicular to each other. So, an example, we've got these 2 points. We want to know what the slope would be of a line that's perpendicular to this one. First of all, we need to find this slope, -11/3. Well, the opposite of a negative would be a positive, and the reciprocal would be 3/11. So to find a line that's perpendicular to this one would be have a slope of 3/11. Determine whether the following lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Okay, so we're given two lines. The first thing we need to do, though, is solve both of them for y. In the first equation, if we add 5x to both sides, we'll have y equals 5x minus 6. And in the second equation, we subtract x from both sides, then divide every term by 5. So look at our slopes. 5, -1/5. Well, they have opposite signs, and they're reciprocals of each other. So these lines are perpendicular. Very good. You are ready to begin working the assignment.